Hey there, I'm Kathy with the Traveling Homesteader, and today I'm coming to you from a friend's place, and as you can see, they had a tree come down just last night. And I don't know if you can tell from the background, but there's some bees that are coming from that nice little hole that was in this tree. And as you can see, I'm kind of in the tree on the ground. And today's goal, and we'll see how it pans out, is to try to get the bees from in the tree into a hive, because there's a ton of bees here. So I may end up finding some help from some friends, but since I lost my hive last year in the winter, I've been wanting to get another hive, and this may be a great opportunity to see about getting this to transport to my place. And they say that when you transport bees, if you have them in one location, you need to go, I want to say, either 2 or 5 miles away to their new location. So I'll have to look that up to make sure that they don't come back to the first location. So let's check out this nice little hive. So because I have an opportunity to get the bees out of the tree, I finagled a way to do it, but I need a tool that I don't have. And so I called a friend who's a beekeeper, and thankfully he's willing to help me out. So the guy I know that's the guy that I know that's my bee guy his name is Ethan Bennett, and he has honey tree apiaries, and I'll put a plug for his place here because he has great honey and other bee products that he sells on a regular basis. But what he's willing to do is lend me a bee vacuum, which I'm really kind of excited about. And so I figured it was a specialty item. So in essence, it's similar to a shop vac with a pressure adjustment that you can adjust to help the bees stay alive versus getting sucked up and being in a pressurized vacuum area. And so I'm going to try to do that if the bees haven't taken off already, because when I went there just a little bit ago, I think when they were moving around, they were maybe gonna swarm. I hope not. So my goal right now is to be able to go get this bee vacuum from Ethan, and then to vacuum up what I can, and then later on I'm gonna actually move the bees into the hive that I had from last year. But then later on, somebody else is gonna come to this tree and help kind of dismantle it, and I will hopefully, crossing fingers again, be able to get the honey and comb from what the bees had done in the tree. So let's see what happens from now. So now I'm collected up stash of stuff. So this is my beehive that I'm going to use. This is the bee vac that I'm going to use. And I have some extension cords, and within the bee vac, there's a couple of compartments that I can use. So part of the reason why I have this is because where the tree fell down, it took out some power to a particular building. So now I have to go a little farther along, thus the cords for electricity. So crossing fingers that when we get there, we can take care of this and have it kind of be interesting. bee vac. Well, I'm taking a little break tonight. The bees have won for the moment with my nose is looking huge now, but got stung here a couple times, up in my forehead, a time or two on my arms and stuff. So I'm going to wait until they're a little less cranky and maybe try again a little later. So crossing fingers, it all pans out. But as you can see, it is quite the process. And so whomever does this professionally, I want to learn from you so I can do it better next time. Since getting the bees hasn't worked out as I planned, I've set up my beehive here along with the vacuum, with the vacuumed bees that have now gone into the box, I hope. And the bees continue to be in their hive here. So since it's evening now, they're kind of in there resting. But I may try to get these bees in another way besides the vacuuming. So in the process of getting the bees, this is a bit of an update. It's taking me longer than expected, but I'm hoping it'll all work out. Basically, when I first started getting them, I ended up getting, as I was vacuuming, I ended up getting stung like 6 times in the face, in my nose, between my eyes, on my ears, and they got stuck in my hair. And I just got to the point where I was like, I don't know how this will pan out. So I stopped. And so I went with another trick, and so I waited a few days. And today I decided to take lemongrass. So lemongrass oil, an essential oil, is an attractant for bees. And so I've placed my hive, as you may have noticed, in front of where the bees have their hive in the tree. And so what I'm hoping is that they'll make the transfer from the tree to the hive with the help of the lemongrass. Now you'll see here that this is from, I hope you can see, maybe right there. It's from Mountain Rose Herbs. And many of you may have seen one of my past videos that I ended up going to Mountain Rose Herbs. Sorry, no, the dogs. The dogs went to Mountain Rose Herbs because they have a whole line of great products that are essential herbs, cooking herbs, just a whole nice variety of things, and you can reach them online. But I just want to give you that update. So there's a guy out of the Midwest who does natural beekeeping, and he sells these little kits of lemongrass and pipettes with, I guess, time-release capsules that I'd bought. And I had them this week, and I don't know where they are now. So I just took this lemongrass oil from Mountain Rose and decided to take some comb from the hive and put this on the comb and put it into the new hive. So crossing fingers that in the next few days, the bees will get the hint to go from one to the other. Otherwise, I may have to ask friends, family, I don't know, grab it, I don't know. We'll see what happens, and so crossing fingers, they'll make the conversion themselves. So after some time, it's been maybe a month or so, not 3 weeks, since the bees have made their appearance. And I ended up deciding to get some help, and actually the people where the tree fell down had found somebody to help get the bees. And so we're gonna meet up with him here in a little bit, and he's gonna help put the bees in my beehive, and we're gonna hopefully see how a professional does it, unlike me, who gets stung all over the place. So that's part of today's excursion. So everyone who's watching this, I'll just let you know that this nice man, his name is Brent, and he's way smart in the bee department. And he's setting fire to things for the smoker.
Yeah, we'll try not to set fire to too much, other than the smoker itself.
So contained fires are good. Yeah, so Brent has been really kind of patiently answering questions, and he's going into smoke to check out the bees and kind of see what that's going to happen.
We should plug that other hole. The smoke seems to be just going right through and out the hole. Do you want me to get some bubble wrap to stuff that hole on the other side?
No, not right now. We'll do that later. They seem to have reacclimated just to using this one for the most part. So
Yeah,
they
I was just
probably-
thinking about containing the smoke more inside the
Oh.
cavity.
Yeah. It's probably fine for now. But thanks. So it could be anything. Like it doesn't have to be as sturdy as plywood.
Yeah, that's good.
You know, anything like that. Just because they'll smell it, they'll go up to it, they'll be like, oh, no way in.
Yeah.
You know, go back over to the box.
Yeah, makes sense.
Cool.
Yeah, we've got bubble wrap too.
Oh yeah, anything like that. They're you know they're pretty easy that way in terms of keeping them out of that. Bumblebees, on the other hand, are a little bit harder because they're strong and tenacious. All right. So yeah, Kathy, when you do get ready to move this, you want to seal up that whole bottom part there.
Okay.
And you know, you can use just about anything. Again, like it could be aluminum foil. I've done that.
Okay.
Steel wool is one of my favorites because it's breathable, so it lets
Okay.
air go back and forth, but they can't get through it.
Okay.
We've got some steel wool here.
You
Okay.
can also do strips of wood. That should be a 3/8 inch space, and there's
Okay.
actually entrance reducers that come with a lot
And
of
that's
these.
what I just was going to ask. This one didn't come with that, but
Okay.
I know where I can get one.
Okay, so usually those entrance reducers, that would be a really easy way to do it because that's already cut to fit.
Okay.
And then there's just a little hole that you would need to fill
Okay.
up with the steel wool or aluminum foil or
Okay.
whatever. So that would be a really
Okay.
easy way to do it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And yeah. Got it. Great. Thank you.
The mad scientist has got his plot.
Oh yeah, these real.
You get different types of food depending on where you live.
Or what's producing pollen at a certain time too, because flowers will go through their successions, right? So you'll have pollen from different plants at different times through the year. You gotta scoot back over there.
So they have different food that they feed.
Collect and bring into their nest so they can eat.
They eat seasonally, so.
Yeah, that they feed their workers versus their
Royalty.
Yeah, the queen gets raised on a different diet, which is what actually makes her transform into a queen body, because her body's about twice the size of the workers.
Is there only one queen in there?
Generally, yeah.
Oh, weird.
Like on odd occasions, you'll find a mother and daughter in the same hive, but generally there's just one.
So when you take a hive out, do you generally see the queen?
Hopefully, you know, doing it
See
doing
that
it this
little
way,
cage
piece by
he's got
piece.
right there?
What's that?
Is that the cage that you put the
Yeah,
queen
this is
in?
a queen cage. There's also these clear plastic ones, which I may see if I can find too, because it's just easier to see her through there, so I can show you if and when we find her. But hopefully I will. If I use a bee vacuum, which I didn't bring today, but if I use that, most of the time I end up sucking her up into that, and I don't really ever see her, but I can usually tell by the bee's behavior where she is.
How cool is that?
So yeah,
That's cool.
yeah, it's interesting.
Big hive, isn't it?
It never ceases to keep me interested, I should say.
Big hive.
Yeah.
Looks like there's some larvae in there too, right?
Yeah, yeah, so that's all capped larvae on that side. I don't know if there's just too many bees for you or not, but this is also something pretty cool. So if you look right down in those cells, there you'll see the little white larvae curled up like in a C shape down at the very bottom of them. So those are new larvae before they get capped.
And this one's coming out.
That one's coming out, which is probably an issue with me pulling this thing apart, honestly. So that's all the capped larvae. I'm just showing them that if you look down in those cells, you can see the little larvae at the very bottom, kind of curled in a C shape, little white, glistening. So those are new. The eggs look like a little tiny piece of rice in there after the queen lays them. So it takes.
I got a whole big roll of that. 48 inches.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that'll totally,
okay.
Yeah.
totally cover that.
So what will they do with that one that they pulled out and we're kind of fighting over?
They'll remove it from the hive.
Oh, okay.
It's yeah. If it's in that, if it's come out of its cell like that, they'll generally. I mean, they may in a another situation have a way to save it, but in this situation they really don't, because it's already gotten. They want to keep this as a certain temperature, and unfortunately we're breaching that pretty nastily by taking them all out of the tree.
I see.
Take notes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I've actually kind of stopped doing most removals from buildings and stuff, just because you're pretty much just tearing apart their house. You know, I don't mind doing it in trees that have fallen and other situations like that, because it's like, oh, they're kind of in a bad place anyway.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah, when you want to have to destroy somebody's house,
yeah,
you do 2 bees, and then end up destroying that as well. So-
right.
Mm.
So one caveat on these frames, a year from now when you're looking at them and you're like, what the heck did he... These are ones my 12-year-old put together for me.
Awesome.
So they may not be square, they might have some funky glue joints.
Hey, I'm not gonna fire your son.
Good job.
I might even say please and thank you.
Yeah. You did an admirable job. Potentially mean a couple things. One is that drones are unfertilized eggs, where worker eggs are fertilized. So at some point, since the queen just mates once, she'll run out of fertility. And when she does, she can only lay drone eggs. So it could mean that the queen is running out of fertility and is having trouble laying, or it could just be it's in a weird part of the nest because of, you know, where it was, and she laid drone and some of them hatched out and the others haven't yet. So it's hard to tell for sure. Oh, don't sting my glove. I know. This is a little bit more groove comb here. Oh, that was elegant. So I'm going to add this on to the stack. Set it back inside. This little kimber inside the tree is doing better than my smoker. There's different colors of pollen, and it's a little glistening. So they've added nectar to it and some enzymes, and that's what they use to raise worker bees. So it's a high protein, a little bit of carbohydrate from the nectar food source.
Huh. Bee bread, huh?
Yeah, bee bread. So that's what makes the difference between a worker bee and a queen. So worker bees get fed this after their first 3 days, and queens get fed royal jelly for their entire life as a larva.
Huh.
And that's what changes her chemistry into becoming a fertile queen.
Huh.
So you got the suppressors and the suppressed.
They all have their different diets, okay?
Just hatched, like literally just crawled out of its cell.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah. Sorry. Sorry, baby.
That's kind of fun.
It's interesting that one had a little chunk of bread on one side of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the bee bread cells. Yeah, they usually position those kind of right around the brood, so it's an
Okay, so I think we should be able to roll it this direction.
Yeah.
Still got a sliver holding.
Yeah, there's a sliver holding.
Is there?
I can cut that. It's a tough one. Yeah.
Yeah, there's the top of the hive.
Yeah, stuff still goes up there, but that looks like it's unused.
What have you been doing at work? Oh, your hands all screwed up.
Pile of size goes for a piece of big shovel, big machine, got a clamp shell on it.
That's all.
Got fingers.
Run the machine.
Yeah.
Kinda, sorta.
The real thing there, huh?
Not bad.
Kinda tasty?
That's pretty good. A lot better than that last one when I was logging. They were in a white fir up in the woods, out on Monroe there. That wasn't very good.
I might try to get a little bit of a closer shot on that.
The honey wasn't very good.
It out because the return, like I mentioned before, is so much greater than just going out and collecting nectar. So,
Well, I know down the street here, across from the Carter Mustang Ranch, they have hives periodically out there. I don't know if there's any out there right now. I mean, it kind of looked like maybe there might still be two,
right.
but I don't know.
Yeah, sometimes a lot of times they may have them migrate with pollination services or something like that. Yeah, so that's pretty common. But yeah, I would. Oh, that's pure honey. Yeah. It's part of what they're excited about.
Ooh.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, there. So this is, I showed you the drones last time, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
That's one right there.
And he can't sting.
No, they don't develop stingers.
He's one of the niceys.
So look at, yeah, you can. Oh yeah, nice. They're spread around in here nicely.
Ooh, there's a nice new cone there too.
Yeah, yeah, they can build it out fast, and that's really where feeding them will help a ton. Is just giving them that resource so they don't have to. They're going to build it. Basically, give them the resource 10 times faster or 10 times denser.
Yeah.
In terms of the energy. The nice thing going in here frequently does is it keeps the propolis manageable. Because they will stick everything together.
Along those lines, will they? My last hive had a problem going, not necessarily up and down the box, but from side to side, like between, and they stuck two frames together pretty good.
Right. Yeah. It just depends on the. There we go. They will. Sometimes. And for me, it's there's a couple of things that it depends on. One is what space they're trying to fill, right? Because if it's more than about a quarter of an inch, they're going to try to fill it with wax, and if it's less, then they're going to propolize it. So the get them off that cage a little bit, maybe like they've already attached it. So and then it's also the amount of time that it's been undisturbed, because the more time you give them to just build up, wow, girls, you've done a super job. Nice work. Yeah, it looks like the queen's still in there. So maybe what else we got to fit in? Oops. Can we stick this? What else can this fit in there with that?
That smells so good.
Right? It's yeah.
It's coming back, I think.
Yeah. It's not working out, girls. So just as you can probably imagine and see, this hive is going to be a little bit of a mess down here on the bottom.
A little ski-wampus.
Yeah, they'll be kind of all over the place. But that's just, I'm afraid, going to be a way of life, moving them from that environment to this environment. Okay. Let's see. I should have left that frame out. So getting these two. Try to set this one in there. feel the heat from
Yeah. What is the average temperature in there?
You know, they like to keep the brood nest itself right around our body temperature. So somewhere in that, 95, 96 degree range.
Huh.
But the overall hive outside of that, it just depends on the time of year, right?
Okay.
So the brood is really the critical piece.
Yeah.
Because if it gets too chilled, then they won't develop. And if it gets too hot, they'll bake.
Huh.
So that's the piece where, in the winter, they're really trying to keep it warm, and in the summer, that's when they'll do the bearding on the outside.
Yeah.
They have a whole air.
It's like their air conditioning.
Yeah, because when you see them on the outside, they've got as many bees on the inside forming a whole pathway.
Oh, no kidding.
Internally, so they're actually moving the whole airflow through that honeycomb.
Cool.
It's so cool because they'll actually do tunnels and they'll do different things in there to control the
circulate
airflow.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, either through the honey storage because they're trying to dry down the nectar, right? Take it from that 80% moisture down to below 20%, so it's shelf stable, or they're trying to cool the brood because it's too hot, which around here isn't usually a problem because how many days is it above 96, right? For any given time. So it's mostly around here is more for the nectar dehydration. Okay, let's see. So she is not in there anymore. So she's in here.
Sweet.
Otherwise, they would not be acting like this. They would be
elsewhere.
Well, not only maybe elsewhere, but they would also be a lot more disorganized. They'd be more frantic and more searching around. Like there's definitely,
a pattern.
There's a pattern for sure. Like they are very disheveled if they don't have queen pheromone. So they know everything's okay. Let's see. I don't know if this is, maybe I'll tuck this in just at the edge here and create enough space to kind of give them a little more resource. Oops, hi there, sorry about that. And where can this go? This can actually probably go there. And that, I think, will give them everything that is still valuable from the old homestead. Okay.
So here it is in the night. See, there's the horizon, even the moon. But I am in the night because I'm picking up the bees, and the bees are right here in the box. So that's the top. So I'm gonna bring them to my house, and hopefully we're gonna be able to kind of have them come out in the morning. But part of what we had to do was make sure that they were all in the box, and then I had to kind of seal them in for a couple minutes. So since I only live 2 miles from where the bees were in the tree to where I am, I'm only leaving them in maybe 15 minutes total with them sealed in shut. I'll take out the piece that I need to and let them kind of be in their new element for the morning. So they'll have to reorient when they get to my house, but I think all should be well. I'm excited to have my bees finally coming home. Okay, so I have the bees here at my house. I've put them on this tree stump, similar to where I had it, basically where I had it, my other bees before. I wanted to see how they do here. And so now, I'm just gonna take this out there's some packing tape there and some foam that's helping keep them in. And basically, the man that helped us, Brent, had mentioned about pointing them in a different direction than where they were at their other location. That way it helps them, in part, do an orientation flight or a reorientation flight to help them make sure, yeah, this is our house. We want to make sure we know this house and we know where it is. So I'm going to take this off tonight, and in the morning they'll be starting doing their rounds. So you can kind of see here now that I just took off the foam and the tape. You can see they're already kind of poking around. And so part of what you see here is actually things that they're cleaning out. Come to find out, bees like a clean house. And so those are some rubber bands that we used to help, or Brent used to help keep their comb in there so that they could actually reestablish their comb. So that could mean that they've glued their comb together and they don't need those rubber bands anymore. And that's why they're trying to take them out, along with some of they're just cleaning up some of the old comb here. And they got some dirt and junk that they're trying to clean out. So we'll probably see more of that sort of thing as time goes by and they get kind of reoriented. And I don't know if you can notice this one bee over here that's kind of got her wings out and about. That's kind of a signal saying this is home. And so these guys are kind of just checking things out. So we'll have progress notes as we go. So the bees are settling into their new location rather nicely, and we've also been able to have them get access to what I'm calling their bee juice, which is equal parts sugar and water, which is held in a container just outside of their hive that they have access to via their hive. And now that they're settling into their new location, they're going to take the time to kind of build up their stores so they have the opportunity to have a good source of honey and food for over the winter. So thank you for coming along this journey, and I appreciate you checking out the Traveling Homesteader. And if you haven't subscribed already, please click below to the subscribe button, and feel free to leave a comment below as well. I always look forward to seeing what people have to offer.